on Sunday, Kenya marked 60, how many years? 62 years since we got internal self-rule on Madaraka Day in 1963. And that's why we started singing, Tushangilie Kenya, taifa letu tukufu, Kenya tunayoipenda,
Daima.
Kenya nchi tunayoipenda,
Daima.
Kenya nchi tunayoipenda.
Daima.
Very good. Now,
Wonderful.
we are in June. Wonderful. Wonderful. We are in June, and one of our listeners wants to be given the mic. And he has said, nipatieni mic tafadhali, nataka kuleta maneno kadhaa. June 25th last year was a monumental day in the country's history. Abdulaziz Mohamed is a youth leader and a politician, and he's here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu sana to Fixing the Nation, one conversation at a time. This is what we do on a daily basis.
Asante sana. And let me begin with a very short prayer.
Yes.
And I'll say it in Arabic and translate it to English. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawluhu. My Lord, open my chest, ease the task for me, untie the knots on my tongue so that they may understand my speech. This is a very powerful prayer that was said by Prophet Moses when he was tasked by God to go and address King Pharaoh, who was very powerful then, merciless, and also known for killing every male-born baby. Because I'm seated here, I don't have to mince my words, discussing matters affecting Kenyans and address it to an administration that has a similar behavior of that king. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Tuchangie hapo. Asante sana for that prayer. And it's a beautiful prayer. It's a beautiful prayer. I mean, every day you just say.
So I am having Moses' moment.
Yes.
This is a Moses moment.
Yes.
May you have his anointing.
It's a let my people go moment.
Yes.
Jano,
Yes, the
please
quote
start
for
us with
today.
today's quote, yes.
Today's quote is by Zora Neale Hurston. She was an African-American author many decades ago. And she said once in one of her books, there are years that ask questions and years that answer. Where do you think we are? There are years which ask questions, and there are other years which answer.
Yeah, we had about 61 years that was asking questions, and there was one particular year, 2024, that we've answered all the questions.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's what brought you here today.
Yes.
Very well.
We're in the year of answers.
Yeah, remember
Our
you
second
mentioned
guest
that.
saying the same thing.
Right. I'm one of the things we're still asking.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Let's see.
By the end of
Sindio?
the hour,
Yeah.
something will have shifted.
So Abdul, you are saying that you want us to mark June 25th in a different way. And you
Yes.
said, guys, please give me the mic. I want to raise this particular issue to the nation.
Yes.
Shika mic.
Thank you very much. I am here to propose that Kenya's true Madaraka Day be moved from 1st of June 1963 to 25th of June 2025. Because in 1963, when Kenyans gathered and they attained their Madaraka, that was to have a self-rule. That was a moment that they were supposed to exercise their sovereign powers without external intervention or restrictions. And ever since, we had a constitution before 2010, and the constitution vested all the powers in the president. The presidents ran the country as if it was their own entity. It was only since 2010 that chapter 1 of the constitution was introduced that said sovereign powers belong to the people. And it is on 25th of June when the first time in Kenya's history that chapter 1 of the constitution was exercised. And I am a witness to that. We are not a witness to what happened in 1963. I hear it was a party, the celebration, people came together and they were given that. But in 2024, 25th of June, that Madaraka is a day that blood was shed. And this, according to me and according to my proposal, is a day I want to be marked in the Public Holiday Act. Just like tomorrow we are going to have a public holiday, and 25th of June should be actually a holiday. And this is something that is very possible. In other countries, it happened. For instance, in France, there is the Bastille Day, where, French people gathered, attacked the Bastille prison, released prisoners, something that close to what happened here. We unchained ourselves from our electoral representative that day and told them that whatever they want to do is ni bill yenye inakuja kutuangamiza kama wa Kenya. So it's something that already happened in France, something that has already happened close here in Africa, in Tunisia, to when youth gathered to end the 23-year rule of that ruler, and close to home, a home is here. We are going to have this year, 25th of June,
Right.
as a holiday. And I dropped the mic.
Umesikia paka kuna examples, eh?
Yes.
Ile tunachoma.
Hata sijaanza.
Hata sijaanza.
Hata sijaanza.
Hata bado. Mariam?
First of all, I love this proposal. I think you're absolutely right. This was the first time that we exercised, right? Because there's getting self-rule, there's getting independence, then there's exercising that, even if it's guaranteed in the Constitution, etc. So I think it's really important that we do have some day to mark that. My first automatic question was, though, I see the importance of having Madaraka Day as is right now. Why not have June 25th as a separate day, signifying something different, a new freedom, a new layer of freedom, because that was independence or self-rule from the British. This is us exercising our sovereignty over a different type of ruler. Why not have a different day? Because we can celebrate both. Nothing stops us.
Okay, we have so many holidays that do not make sense. So, this is a day that we have actually attained our true Madaraka, in the sense that that is a day where Kenyans defied their tribal lines, their religion, age, social economic status, came together with a united anger and a united desire for good governance. Ingine ni story tumepewa bana. Tusidanganyane. Yeah. So this is a day actually that is going to go in the history books of Kenya as a very historic day.
I hear you. But that was also
So
a
the
very
name
historic
Madaraka
day. That
should
was
belong
also,
to 25th of June.
but
So you can
you
change,
know we
so you want to
can't.
change the name of, do you want to scrap 1st of June altogether?
Yes.
Scrap it
it all
altogether.
Yes. No,
So-
you scrap 1st of June altogether and give the actual Madaraka and that holiday to 25th of June.
But that would discount then what we achieved on 1st of June 1963.
Which was?
Self-rule and
But-
self-governance
but let me tell
from
you-
the British.
But let me ask you.
This is something different. What happened on the 25th of June, we can't downplay it, but we also can't downplay that we were under colonial masters for a century plus, and that's the day we got self-rule, 1st June 1963. That's something...
But let me tell you something. We complained of the colonial masters for being unfair, for killing our people. But we still have government. We had successive government until this one that did worse than what the colonial did. Yeah, that is captured. Yeah.
I see where Abdi is going. We have 2 days that we mark, independence. So you have the 1st of June and the 12th of December.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? 1st of June, internal self-rule, and we had a prime minister, but we still didn't have sovereignty.
Yes.
Our sovereignty was with the Queen.
Yes.
And then when we became a republic,
Yes.
Yes.
that's when now the sovereignty came to the people of Kenya.
Yes.
So we can still mark Jamhuri when we become a republic.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We could mark the 1st of June as the day that, we got
Our
a
food.
prime minister and we got a governor to leave the country. You can call it governor's exit day,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But I think from what I'm hearing Abdul saying is 25th of June last year is when we exercised our sovereignty.
We actually exercised our
internal-
sovereignty. Yes.
So then wouldn't that be a replacement for Jamhuri Day, not for Madaraka Day?
No.
Sovereignty.
No, it's this is the first day we
Madaraka.
got a Madaraka. Madaraka is self-rule. That is the day we went against our electoral representative who wanted to pass a bill. and we decided to stop it. And, you know, our decision and our sovereign powers were followed.
I still think both days. In fact, I was looking at South Africa because I know this month marks the Day of the African Child.
Yes.
So June 16th. Then they also coincided it with Youth Day. It's a public holiday because it coincides with the 1976 Soweto uprising, where the death of Hector Peterson was symbolic for how cruel apartheid can be. He was a young boy. There's that very iconic picture when he's been held dead, and they're still running from the bullets of the apartheid police. But then there's Freedom Day, which is April 27th, which is when South Africa had its first democratic non-racial elections. Yeah. So they've still kept both.
But you know, this is a very, I have a bargaining strategy. And you know, in my culture, it is said when you want a goat from somebody, you first ask for a camel. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't mind us having, but you know, I have to ask for a camel first.
Yes, and then you can.
So we can come down to the goats.
Right.
So is your contention?
Yeah.
The issue of doing away with the June 1st.
Yeah.
Is that your contention?
So I do have contention with that.
Doing away with June 1st. So if you retain June 1st, what do you want to call it? You still want to call it Madaraka Day?
It is. We could even have 2 Madaraka days, to be quite honest. I know, it sounds crazy, but there are 2 different Madarakas that were achieved on those 2 different days, on 1st of June 1963 and on 25th of June 2024. 2 different Madarakas, 2 types of Madarakas. It's important to recognize both of them.
Yeah.
And
even though we weren't there, because you were saying, I hear it was a party.
Yeah.
Which is really funny.
Yeah. Yes.
But
I've heard that too, by the way.
I've heard that too, but there were those there's some who are watching who were there.
True.
And I think they recognize it as, they saw that transition, and I think for them it was huge. Even, for example, I was going to say my parents, but I don't know how old they were then.
Okay.
They're probably in their teens. But the truth is they saw the transition to self-rule. I do understand where
Was
he's
it
coming
Madaraka?
from. For them it was, because you can imagine for them they saw the shackles of colonization breaking. What we have now realized, and I think a lot of people are now saying what he's saying, is, are we really free?
But Janet, you know, you always say the external enemy does not harm you. It is the internal enemy that is always more dangerous. So we've unshackled ourselves from the internal enemy. Yes.
And in a sense, that's more important than even from the external.
Yes.
I see the logic. I do get that.
Yes.
The damage that they did, unspeakable.
Yes.
But I do understand that, because the internal enemy, one, is harder to fight, harder to even spot and realize that they're an enemy, because for a long time you think they're working for you.
They're allies, but they're not.
And then by the time your eyes open, it might be even
So is there another suggestion then to, instead of the public holiday, is there any other way to honor June 25th significantly as opposed to saying it's Madaraka? Can we just say, let's just honor the day, but not Madaraka? Yeah.
You know, there are very many things that we could look at. I support what you're saying.
Yes, thank you.
But then, because if we look at Madaraka and what Madaraka means, for example, on the 27th of August 2010, it was a big monumental day.
Yes.
That's the day that we promulgated a new constitution.
Yes.
It was actually called the birth of the Second Republic.
Yes.
That's when you got this constitution that has said what you've said, chapter 1, you know, it's the all sovereign power directly belongs to the people of Kenya.
Yes.
It's the first time that it's expressly written in our post-independent constitution that says where the sovereign power lies.
Yes.
Clearly defined, so that there's no, gray area.
Right.
So that day was also important because it marked the promulgation of our constitution, the birth of the Second Republic. We have done ourselves a disservice by not putting that as an important day. And we should have done that. We should have had the 27th of August as a day that we mark every year.
Yes.
Because it's a birthday of our constitution.
Yes.
The birth of our Second Republic. We didn't, right?
Yes.
But then that was what was on paper. And we celebrated at Uhuru Park and across the country that we now have a new constitution. President Kibaki released the dove and so on and so forth. And things were happening. Last year, the people actually felt that sovereignty. The people came out and spoke, and a government had to listen to the people. A government that was saying, we are listening to the people and coming up with these taxation measures and pushing ahead with it, the executive and the legislature, and the people came out and said, absolutely no way. We, the sovereign, reject these revenue-raising measures. And those who are in leadership had to sit back and listen and say, the people have spoken, so it shall not happen. This is an exercise of the sovereign power of the people. And I think it's a very important day. We may retain, I have absolutely no issue with retaining the 1st of June and commemorating that day in 1963 when we started our journey towards liberation.
Right.
But that journey matured last year on the 25th of June.
Yes.
And as I see the points that he's saying, that 25th of June is the People's Madaraka Day.
Yes, and it should be a day to commemorate the lives that have been lost. You know, this is a day young Kenyans came together and braved bullets.
Right.
And expressed their anger against their electoral representatives. You know, before then, we used to, you know, kiss their boots. This is a day they've, you know, addressed their anger at them.
But the day, did it have, can a day that did not perhaps result in significant policy reforms still be recognized as a holiday, as a Madaraka? It was significant. Did it necessarily, is it, is it premature?
No, it's
Is
not.
there something to say about it's significant? Yes, it allowed, it unchained people from feeling like they were muffled to speak their truth.
Yes.
But some might say in order for there to be an Independence Day or a Madaraka Day, there's a policy reform of some kind that comes to be that then signifies it, as opposed to this is a day that...
But you know, Janet, this is a day that we want to, you know, this is a story that is supposed to be told to our grandchildren. And the best way to pass this message and the importance of this day is through that holiday and calling it Madaraka, a day to commemorate a citizens-led celebration, a day to pray for Kenya and the few people we've lost. It is possible. You know, we are in a government that has budget for everything. There is budget for corruption. There is budget for National Prayer Breakfast Day, which is mainly attended by people who require prayers themselves. So usijali mambo ya budget, mambo hii ni kitu Murkomen akinunua his expensive watches anafaa kupatia watch pia sisi, time pia sisi. Yes. In the holiday.
There's also Heroes Day. That's October 20th.
Mashujaa.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to see, I'm just thinking so logically. I understand what you said about...
What's the logic?
No, just Heroes Day is one that I would say maybe that could be. Because I still don't know that we can fully move away from...
Let me go into the
But
people's.
you know,
he says it's the people's Madaraka.
The
Yes.
people's
When I think of
Madaraka,
who is
yeah.
usually honored, who gets an Elder of the Golden Heart, EGH, or OGW, Order of the Grand Warrior, all of these, it's often political appointments. There's one or two that you do think are genuinely deserving, but most of them it's just nikufuraishana tu. You look at those people, you're like, what are they? What have they done that's deserving of this EGH, OGW, and many other accolades? So when I think about the people's Madaraka, then we should have our own. Now, Abdul, how will you convince the state that denied, first of all, wrongdoing for a long time, even when admissions of wrongdoing on June 25th have come, they come half-hearted apology here, half-hearted. How? Because to be a state holiday, to be a Madaraka or the people's Madaraka, it needs the backing of the state.
Yeah, but you know, we are here to address the state. The same state that withdrew that financial bill is the same state we are addressing. This is a day that is very important, just like any other day, but it is more important to us because it's a day we were a witness.
Right.
Yeah, we stood a witness on this day. So just, you know, the state has a lot of they do a lot of unnecessary other things, including, you know, the day they were just swearing in the new VP, the deputy president. It was just a public holiday. So this is not less important.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lenny is saying Madaraka 1 and Madaraka 25. It's not impossible, but it's hard for the political class to accept it as usual. Haiki 87, what's there to celebrate? The promulgation of a new constitution, and it's being flouted left, right, and center without repercussions. June 25th as Madaraka Day under this regime, that's akin to asking prison warders to hold a birthday party for a prisoner. Okay.
There's a piece of legislation called the Public Holidays Act.
Yes, yeah.
Now, the Public Holidays Act is it's short. It says, this act may be cited as the Public Holidays Act, and it has a schedule, part 1 of the schedule, part 2 of the schedule, part 3 of the schedule. The days specified in part 1 of the schedule are every year be kept as public holidays, and those days are New Year's Day, 1st of January, Good Friday, March or April, Easter Monday, March or April, Labor Day, 1st May, Madaraka Day, 1st June, Eid al-Fitr Day, depending upon the appearance of the moon, Moi Day, 10th October, Kenyatta Day, 20th October, Independence Day, 12th December, Christmas Day, 25th December, Boxing Day, and then there's Eid al-Adha, depending on the sighting of the moon, and Diwali, depending with the Hindu calendar, all right? That's part 2 is Eid al-Adha, part 3 is the Diwali. So part 1 creates these annual holidays.
Yeah.
We can go and amend this law and insert 25th of June in part 1.
Yes.
And we will have a holiday. So is it simple to create a holiday? It is.
Yes,
Who-
very simple.
Who would you need to amend that law? It's your
You need-
elected representatives
Yes.
to
Yes.
go and to amend that law. Will those elected representatives amend a law to entrench a day at which they were at their most scared of the people, when they feel they were attacked? And I'm putting that in quotes because, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did the
Will
elected
they?
representatives go to Parliament and actually amend a law and delete it?
But
Amend a bill that they had passed and deleted it. Did they go to Parliament? Yes. On account of that the people told them, we want you to delete that law. They went and deleted it.
Yes.
If the people tell
Yeah.
their representatives,
Yes.
we want you to create 25th of June,
yes.
those people represent the people.
You see what it took to get them to amend and delete, right?
Yes.
But you know,
It
Mariam,
took the people exercising their sovereignty.
we don't need their emotional part. We just need their logic part. Yeah. We don't need emotions to run affairs of a country. Yeah, whatever they feel is none of our business. We want them to do the right thing. That is why they are there.
Are we
Or
there
else
yet?
we'll still exercise
Right.
chapter 1.
We're going into a break. Let's actually get into the viability of it, to your
Yeah.
point. Like, is it possible that those who are elected to say this can be a holiday, to remove their heart and emotions from the issue? I don't know. It's 8:30. This is Fixing the Nation on NTV Nation FM. Some of you are already engaging us online. Please share your views for or against this Shika Mike, and we'll see if we can unpack some of it after this break.
Abdulaziz Mohamed is our fixer this morning, who said, I want you to give me the mic. And we told him, Shika Mike. And he's saying, I'd like to propose that June 25th be made a national day. And it is the true People's Madaraka Day. Now, the debate has been, whether do we cancel the 1st of June? Do we not? Do we do this or the other? But go on. What are the people saying?
Yeah, there's some of the messages that I'd read earlier, so I can pull some of those up again. Yeah, so again, Lenny, Madaraka 1 and 2. One of them, to your point about the promulgation of the Constitution, they said, what's there to celebrate since it's been flouted? It was still a very important day. June 25th as Madaraka Day. I don't know if this regime will allow. There's no way we can abolish any national holiday. We can introduce new ones, but we must preserve the other holidays. That's from Smallest Ever. KGTV, for sure 25th should be made a holiday. People's Madaraka Day, it is. So mixed views. Some people are saying don't abolish, others are saying, yep, I can see why. That's on YouTube. I don't know if they're saying anything else elsewhere. I'm wondering about the generational disconnect and whether it feels like, because June 25th, June 24th, 2020, June 25th,
2024.
Symbolic, critical. Do you think there would be a generational disconnect of perhaps a demographic that's younger feeling like, yes, this is our day, and an older one still recognizing the other one more symbolically as this is our day, so the generational one? Also, who gets to shape this story? There's already been leaderless, tribeless, younger, older. Who gets to shape that as the holiday? Who gets to own it?
Whose name is associated with it? Okay. Let's look at Tunisia, when they have the Revolution and Youth Day on January 14th, marking the
End of
day
23
that marked the Arab Spring.
Right.
it's not called some so-and-so's day. Or, well, for this one, there's, of course, that the guy who set himself on fire. The Day of Dignity and Freedom in Ukraine commemorates the 2013 protest demanding closer ties with the EU and democratic reforms. Hungary, they have something called Revolution Day on March 15th, which marks the 1848 uprising against the Habsburg monarchy. In Philippines, there's a day that they call the EDSA, People's Power Revolution Day, marked on February 25th, celebrates the 1986 non-violent uprising that ended Ferdinand Marcos's dictatorship. People taking over, exercising their sovereignty, and they're marked as national days because they're important days. They basically drew a line on the sand and said, this is a day that you're saying no to this kind of leadership that does not listen to the people, to now a leadership that must listen and adhere to the people's wishes.
So there's precedent, and it's being done well across the world. How soon after the revolution in Tunisia did they start marking the Revolution Day? Sorry. How soon after? How long after? Same for Hungary. I want this to be done as soon as possible, but I do see immediately the pushback that will happen right now. Again, the people in parliament that we would need to amend the constitution, amend the law, and have this entrenched as a public holiday were the people who were scampering in ambulances on that day as a result of not listening to the said people. So that's my only thing.
I think that scampering should be a lesson, a big lesson, not to object this one and to pass it as soon and as quick as possible. You know, let me tell you something. For the longest time, we had called ourselves, we had celebrated this, I'm putting it in quotes, Madaraka Day, while we had international financial institutions and foreign governments, advising our government and telling them how to run their economy. And one of the things that the uproar that caused the uproar in 25th of June and the past finance bill, you remember there was a World Bank aspect to it. So we were still, before 25th of June, we were in a neocolonialism time. We still borrow from China to exert political and economic decisions to us, to tell us exactly, in a layman's language, to tell us what to do, when, and how. So 25th of June is the day we broke free from this shenanigans.
Right, from the shackles.
From the shackles.
Yes.
To answer your question, yes. On January 14th, 2011, President Ben Ali fled the country after weeks of mass protests against corruption, unemployment, and authoritarian rule. Shortly thereafter, late January the same year, the interim government declared January 14th a national holiday called Revolution and Youth Day.
After his campaign.
Let me finish what I was saying.
So the following year,
yes, yes.
Okay.
So for we've this the worry of Mariam is will the electoral represent will they? Now let me tell you, for a nation to heal and to move forward, it must listen to its people. So they have no choice here.
No option.
Yes. Now, not just Shida, before 25th of June, we had, leadership that would always say well, but never did well. But after 25th of June, you could tell some even did, they've, toned down on their lifestyles, or, on their speech.
Someone wore a Casio.
Yes,
from Rolex,
yes. Yeah. So I am more than 150% sure that will be done. It was done, did, and now it's close to home. You see, next year, Eric, you will be using an example of 25th of June here locally. Now you're using Tunisia, France, and India. So next year we'll be discussing this. I'll be here.
Yeah.
If I'm still alive.
No, globally, it's been recognized as one of the most significant protests.
Yes.
That one, June 25th, globally. In fact, I think whenever a lot of us are in rooms, it's something that you bring up and people
it has left a bad taste in so many Kenyans' mouth.
It's left a bad taste. Are we collectively behind June 25th? Or is it is it the idea that we are? You know, we talk about what we see and say vis-a-vis
Qua
ground large majority. Now, that might sound like a strange question, given that, yes, we saw a massive part of the public coming out in support of Reject Finance Bill. We saw there was a moment in time when intergenerationally, even mothers and fathers telling their kids, go, you do it, because we've tried it for so long. Over time, I wonder whether that's become more divisive. I wonder whether people are reading it differently. And I wonder then whether we can see it collectively as a day to recognize. It would probably need a bit more interrogation so that people feel collectively behind it.
And Janet, if there is one thing Kenyans are in consensus with, is holidays, public holidays. We love holidays. And we love them more when it makes, it resonates with us. So we've loved holidays that never resonated with us. 25th of June, ni siku yetu. Hata usiulize maswali mingi.
Yetu ni nani?
Yetu kama Wakenya. Yes.
Wakenya gani?
Wote.
Okay.
The citizens.
Citizens.
If it were to actually be marked, how do you see it being marked?
Yeah, it's good.
Are we still doing the same thing? National Day, go to a stadium, military, the president comes and inspects the guard of honor, we dance, we hear a speech. How do you want it to be marked? How do you envision it being marked?
This day is going to be marked different from other days. To begin with, it's going to be a citizens-led celebrations with not the ordinary dances and music, but with prayers and commemoration, and respect for the lives that we've lost, and for the freedom we've attained. Yeah.
That's
it's a two-part.
That's profound. Who gets to decide which protests deserve commemoration? Some could say Sabasaba Day should also be. Is it? No, it's not. It's marked. Some might say
we say Sabasaba.
We say Sabasaba, but
in fact,
did it also deserve?
John Mutugi is saying, I love the talk. The old folks will claim their day Sabasaba is not recognized, so we trade ours with what? With that, they'll claim that no generation supersedes the other.
Hey, we trade. Sasa tumeanza kutrade. Nyinyi kani na hii. So maybe it's them to look at.
Sabasaba has existed the longest because of the name Sabasaba. Ni rahisi kushika. So,
but
the only thing, it's marked, yes.
It was a significant day.
The generation then did not have, did not ask for a holiday, did not push for it.
That's true.
Yeah, the difference is that we are pushing for it, and we'll push it until we get it. Yes.
Also, no one stops anyone from creating Sabasaba. To be, if we're being honest, So, okay, now June 25th, as the People's Madaraka Day. You've given us an idea of how it should be commemorated. It's how to get justice, because I think truly when we're commemorating, if there's no justice underneath, then there's nothing we're really doing. It'll be the same as us getting self-internal rule and, celebrating in 1963, only to go for another 60 years, with new masters. So how do we make sure we don't fall into the same trap of we've celebrated the People's Madaraka Day, but we've not found justice for Rex, we've not found justice for Francis, for the 60 lives that were lost that day, for those who were abducted. We've not gotten significant change politically in 2027, or even as we move towards that. How do we make sure we don't fall into that same trap?
For justice to be achieved, one thing that you need to consider is that we are dealing with a very hard-headed administration that do not admit. The fact that we will push and they will give us a holiday is the first stage of admitting. Yes. And the rest, the law will take its due course.
Okay.
Yeah. Let them first admit that this is a very historic day. Then, slowly we'll get to the rest.
Okay.
Yeah. Water will take its natural level then.
Interesting.
Jano, should we mark these other days? Should we find a way of, because Sabasaba was a big day.
Right.
On this day, on the 7th of July in 1990, people organized across the country, and they were pushing for the repealing of Section 2A of the Constitution. They were pushing for the introduction of multipartyism. They were pushing for all these changes in governance. That led to the repealing of Section 2A, to the reintroduction of multipartyism, to where we are at today, all right? Open society. So Saba Saba was a big day.
Yes,
right?
it was.
Yes.
It comes in all the way and then, like I said, culminates onto having a new constitution and promulgating that constitution. So we did away with the constitution of 1963 and we gave ourselves a new constitution in peacetime.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen a lot in the world.
No.
So it happened again. So 27th of August, 2010, pivotal day. Again, last year, June 25th, like you said, Abdul. Yeah, it's a big day. It's a day that people just came out and we saw people actually breach the perimeter of Parliament and go into Parliament.
Yes.
It had symbolism in what it was saying. The people saying, we have come to exercise our sovereignty directly, removing the part of elected representatives.
Yes.
That's the symbolism of that day. So they're important days. Now, should we mark each of them, or should we find a middle ground and say, okay, we'll be marking all of them with prayer, but then the national one will be on this day?
You know, we are not here. We are not downplaying any other day. I am not here to downplay Saba Saba. Saba Saba has its special place in the hearts of Kenyans and in the history books. But now, Saba Saba happened in 1992, 93, 1990. Now, you know, what makes this day, June 25th, special is there was blood that was shed. And what makes it more special is that the audacity of the leadership to try what they did in 2025, in the era of TikTok Live and Facebook. You know, Saba Saba happened in a time when dictatorship was common around Africa. So there was the confidence and the audacity. But this happened in 2024, in this day and age. And we've brought that one even. So we are not downplaying Saba Saba, and nobody stops from Saba Saba being declared a holiday. But I am here to categorically discuss why and how June 25th is going to be a holiday. And mark my words, I have already given you holiday.
You've already given
It's on Wednesday.
It is on Wednesday.
Yes.
I think the one thing you've really made me think about by coming here is I think we are all aware of how significant June 25th is. I know a lot of people are thinking about it. People are thinking about how they want to commemorate it individually, in groups. I believe it is on the minds of very many Kenyans right now, in the best way possible. But you've actually made me think about some of the days that Eric has mentioned. I'm like, yeah, August 27th, July 7th. I don't know that we recognize these days beyond the importance of what they shifted to thinking about honoring them by having an entire day dedicated to them. It might seem like public holiday overkill, but I actually think it's necessary.
Right.
I really do think it's necessary.
Now you're convinced.
No, I'm convinced. What I'm now beginning to process and think through is I don't know that we honor them as we should. The holiday thing, yeah, I mean, honestly, I think so. People will argue and be like, we have so many. I hear people say that all the time. We have so many holidays. You'd be surprised. Some people are not for it. I just don't know whether we give those other days the significance that they deserve.
That they deserve. And again, he said, you know, there's nothing stopping us from doing that. I'm looking at some feedback on WhatsApp. Day of the Fallen Hope. Will suit June 25th. That's according to one of our fixers. Anthony here, he says, calling it Day of the Fallen Hope. Someone else called it Dedan Kimathi Day of Expression. Hello, Fix in the Nation. 25th should be renamed Dedan Kimathi Day of Expression. We lost strong men who loved their country, and that won't stop us from fighting for our rights. There's some little bit more feedback. Given the sensitive nature of the events you mentioned, a term that conveys both remembrance and significance could be Remembrance Day. The phrase captures the solemnity of the loss while also allowing for reflection on the events that transpired. Alternatively, you could consider it Unity Day to emphasize coming together in the wake of tragedy. Ultimately, the choice should reflect the desires and sentiments of the Gen Z.
That's brilliant. Remembrance
It
Day.
doesn't matter what name you give, as long as we have holiday. And my sister Janet, one thing you should consider, what makes this day more special is the wounds are still fresh.
By the way,
memories.
Yes. I agree. Somebody here is saying, me and you is saying, Janet and all seem to be against the idea they're taking him around in circles. No, we're not. We are having a conversation. We're discussing we're going forward. Yeah, we're going, we're trying to look at both sides.
Yes.
I think we collectively understand the significance. It will be deep inside, it's not been expressed. Some might be like, yes, holiday, others not. We can't build the present by forgetting the past. From Mau Mau to Saba Saba, every struggle shaped our freedom. One day should honor all who fought, bled, and stood for this country. Beatrice Muigai Schult. Truth be told, yeah, June 25th may have scored some wins. However, apart from some tax, almost every other aspect of the bill was sneaked in through the back door. Riken Kings, it should be marked by walking on the same streets with placards, water bottles, and a flag, with the ceremony held at a particular common place, and praying and having a moment of reflection. He has given us the way the day. That's brilliant.
I can't co-sign that enough.
Yeah, that is brilliant.
The symbol for June 25th should be water bottles, flags, and phones.
Love that.
That's it.
And
Yes.
No.
Okay.
This is because the mockery was like,
the
first of all,
phones.
there was the phones as mockery, but then the pushback was, we are peaceful. All we've come with is a phone, a water bottle, and a flag. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I have on me. Those are my weapons of choice today, now that I'm so dangerous.
Exactly.
Toothpaste was wale wanajua, but for most of us, it was water, a flag, and a phone.
It was that, and very simple.
We'll eat KFC chicken that day.
Yeah, and enter Ubers thereafter.
KFC have a massive opportunity to advertise. Uber can give a discount code. If you think through these things,
Someone else says, let's call it Sovereignty Day.
If they're already giving us tree planting day, why not this one?
I do hope people have the peace to commemorate this day. The back of my mind, the concern is that we won't even be able to express the hurt and pain that a lot of people still feel, or be able to do remembrance. To your point, I love this with bottles and flags. And I just hope, you want to wish for the best, but then there's something stuck in my throat that I really hope we're just allowed to mark that day.
To express.
I really hope so.
More feedback on WhatsApp says, first we have to talk about patriotism. Kenya is a developing nation and requires all the love it can get. You don't need to talk about problems caused by our colonial master. What I must say is we are on a self-destructive mode, and sooner we realize how worse our country has been before we have to acknowledge our current government and regime. No need for a second Madaraka Day holiday. Instead, we should focus on ensuring that our nation occupants are patriotic and they find convenient ways to air out grievances. We cannot afford to go on a war with ourselves as a country. Someone else says the Gen Z, we are the majority. 2027 will be a tragic moment in this Republic of Kenya. There's the Dedan Kimathi Day. I support the idea, but with reservations. What about Saba Saba? That's a question that someone is asking. Yeah, so what about the other days? And I think we've talked about that as well. Yeah, so it's not the only all-important day. There are many other days that have also shaped where we are up to date.
Right.
Should we forget them?
No. Lekishon is saying more or less the same thing. I don't think we can forget them.
No.
He says, democracy is a process. We can't dismiss what happened in the 90s, right? That brought us this far, and every Gen Z goes on and we keep going, absolutely. Paul Maina Nasama, I should have been a student leader in a Kenyan university. Student politics is murky, Paul. It's not for me. Neither is this national one. Abdulaziz, that brings me right to my next question and last question as we close. What political ambitions, if any, do you have, and how does this tie in with them? How does this Shika Mike tie in with them?
And where I stand today, and my ambition for Kenya is better than my personal. I stand in a position where the interest of the country comes before mine. And my ambition and aspiration is to have a better Kenya. A Kenya where you will not be looked at different from the rest. A Kenya where, the fruits of freedom is evenly distributed in every aspect of life, politically, economically, and socially. it hurts my heart. And, you know, when I see a man carrying his lifeless child on the back, and yet we say there are certain systems that work. So mine is to see a better Kenya. That is a message from the bottom of my heart. Whatever personally I am supposed to gain in life, it is something that has already been predestined. I don't have to fight too much to get it. But, you know, I have a role and responsibility to make sure that this country where I live and reside is the best of its kind.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to end.
I think so.
Thank you so much. This was an amazing Shika Mike. I think as we gear up to June 25th, it's great that we have this conversation. I think it absolutely requires commemoration and remembrance and to be marked with the heaviness that it carries. So thank you so much for kushika Mike vizuri sana.
Asante sana, I dropped the mic. Yeah.
In the next hour, we commemorate World Environment Day. We'll be joined by Kaluki Paul Mutuko to talk about dealing with the menace of plastics. Keep it here for that. It's 9 a.m.